Good morning, students. Today we are going to learn about finding out about the Delhi Sultans. Okay, we have to find new thing about the Delhi Sultans. Okay, although inscriptions, coins, and architecture provide a lot of information, especially valuable. Okay, but there are more valuable are histories. Okay, and that is Tariq. Tariq is more valuable in the histories. Okay, so Tariq it's a singular and Tawarik it's in a plural form. Okay, so it is written in Persian, the language of administration under the Delhi Sultanate. Persian language, it was the administrative language in the Delhi Sultanate. Okay, which was the language? Persian language. Okay, because they came from Persian. Okay, and so their language was in Persian. So all these records they written in the Persian language. Okay, so now you know about Tariq. What is the Tariq and what is the Tawarik? Tariq it's a singular form and Tawarik it's a plural form. So it is written in a Persian. Okay, and the Persian language, it is the language of administration. Okay, because they came from Persian and so that their language was Persian. So the authors of Tariq, they were learned men. Who wrote all this Tariq? Learned men. Okay, so the authors of Tariq were learned men, secretaries also, administrators, poets and courtiers. Okay, Raja ke Darbari, that is called courtiers. So all these they were learned men and so they wrote these Tariq. Okay, who both recount events and advise rules on governance. So they wrote Tariq, what king done. Okay, and they advised how to rule on the governance also. Okay, so basically the importance of just rule. So they have more valuable. Okay, so all these Tariq, okay, Tariq writers, so they were learned men. Okay, which were they? They were secretaries, administrators, poets and courtiers. Okay, so they were learned men and they recounted events, what happened. Okay, so they recounted events, they highlighted that events. Okay, and sometimes they advised rulers on governance, how to govern. Okay, so this was the work of these administrators. Okay, those who write Tariq. So here is second point is that the circle of justice. What is the circle of justice? Fakr e Muddabir. फक्र ए मुद्दाबिर उन्होंने लिखा था कि he wrote in the 13th century that a king cannot survive without soldiers. A king cannot survive without soldiers, and soldiers cannot live without salaries. Okay, king cannot serve without soldiers. First point, and soldiers they cannot live without salaries. And salaries that come from the revenue collected from peasants. Okay. But peasant can pay revenue only when they are prosperous, okay, and happy. If the peasants, if they are prosperous and happy, so they can pay revenue to the king. Okay, and this happens when the king promotes justice and honest governance. So how could they will be happy? If king promotes justice and honest governance. So all are linked together. Okay? King can't survive without soldiers. Soldiers they can't live without salaries. Salaries comes from peasants revenue. Okay, and how could peasants pay the revenue? if they are prosperous and happy. So who will make them happy and prosperous? It is the responsibility of king. Okay, so all were linked and connected. So this is called the circle of justice. Okay, so keep the following additional details in mind. I am giving you some additional details about the Tariq or Tariq writer. Okay, so the authors of Tariq, they lived in the cities, mainly in Delhi and hardly even a village. So these Tariq writer, they lived in a Delhi. Okay, mainly Delhi cities and hardly ever village. They don't want to live in village. Okay, so they prefer to live in Delhi. Okay. Second, they often wrote their histories for Sultan in the hope of rich reward. So why they wrote all these histories? They highlighted all the events. Why? Because in the hope of rich reward. They want rich reward from the king, and so that they wrote their histories. Third point, these authors advised rulers on the need to preserve an ideal social order based on birthright and gender distinction. Third point is very important. So these authors advised rulers on the need to preserve an ideal social order based on birthright and gender distinctions. Okay, their ideas were not shared by everybody. So why? Because they want that their generation will be on the important post. Okay. When they will be died, after that their heirs, okay, their successors will be their sons. Okay. So they will capture their main post, and so that they advise to the king that social order based on birthright and gender distinction. But these ideas, it was not shared by everybody. Okay, some people they oppose this. So in 1236, Sultan Iltutmish's daughter Razia became Sultan. It was very important and remarkable event that Razia Sultana. Okay, she was the first lady ruler in the history of Hindustan. Okay, so she became the Sultan in the men's world. Okay, Razia Sultana became the Sultan in 1236, and she was Sultan Iltutmish's daughter. She became Sultan, and the chronicler of the age, Meenaji Siraj, said that he recognized that she was more able and qualified than all her brothers. Razia Sultana, she was more able and qualified than all his brothers. Okay, but he was not comfortable in having a queen as a ruler. But people, they don't want, nobles, okay, not people, but nobles, okay, courtiers, okay, they don't want to rule under a queen as a ruler, okay, and not when the nobles have been attained to rule independently. So nobles also, they are not happy, okay, because they don't want that lady order them, okay. So she was removed from the throne in 1240. So 1236 to 1240, only 4 years she was the rule on Delhi Sultanate, okay, as a Sultan. Okay, so what Meenaji Siraj, he thought about Razia. Okay, Meenaji Siraj, he thought that the queen's rule went against the ideal social order created by God, in which women were supposed to be subordinate to men. Means according to the Meenaji Siraj, men they have to rule, and women's they have to subordinate to the men. Okay, men have to rule, and women's they have to subordinate to the men. He therefore asked in the register of God's creation, since her account did not fall under the column of men, how did she gain from all her excellent qualities? He asked that she was not a man. So how could they gain all these excellent qualities? Okay, on her inscriptions and coins, Razia mentioned that she was the daughter of Sultan Iltutmish. Razia Sultana, she minted some coins, okay, and she wrote some inscriptions also. So there she mentioned that she was the daughter of Iltutmish. Okay. This was a contrast to the Queen Rudrama Devi also. Do you know about the Queen Rudrama Devi, 1262 to 1289? Okay, and on this Rudrama Devi story, there was also a South movie that is called Rudrama Devi story. Okay, there was also a story on the Razia Sultan. Okay, there was also a movie. It was an old movie about Razia Sultana, and here about Rudrama Devi also. Okay, it was South movie. Okay, so this was in contrast to the Queen Rudrama Devi, 1262 to 1289, of the Kakatiya dynasty of Warangal. Rudrama Devi, she was from Kakatiya dynasty of Warangal. Okay, and part of a modern Andhra Pradesh. Now it is the part of modern Andhra Pradesh, Warangal. After that, Rudrama Devi changed her name on her inscriptions and printed she was a man. Okay? She printed that she was a man. It is very interesting thing that she printed that she was a man. Okay? Because she wanted to spread the message among the people that women have also excellent qualities. Okay, and it proved by the Rudrama Devi. So she changed her name on her inscriptions and pretend that she was a man. Okay, another queen, that is Dida. She ruled in Kashmir in 918 to 1003. Her title is interesting. It comes from Didi. She was a Didi, but she was popularly known as the Dida, okay, or elder sister. And obviously, affections term given to love given by the subject. That Dida, this was given by her loving subjects. People give the title of Dida to her. Okay. So it is about the Mira Siraj thought about woman. Okay. Then the expansion of Delhi Sultanate. Now we will read about the expansion of Delhi Sultanate. In the early 13th century, the control of the Delhi Sultan rarely went beyond heavily fortified towns that occupied by garrison. So what were the garrison towns? It was fortified and protected by the soldiers. It's called garrison towns. So the Sultan seldom controlled the hinterland of the cities and were therefore dependent upon trade. Okay, so he was dependent on the trade and tribute or plunder for supplies. Okay, controlling garrison towns in distant Bengal and Sindh from Delhi was extremely difficult. So how could he control from the Bengal? Okay, from Delhi to Bengal. So it was extremely difficult. Okay. Rebellion, war, even bad weather could snap fragile communication routes. So that bad weather also, okay, sometimes rebellions and war, okay, so they can disturb their communication routes. And the state was also challenged by Mongol invasion from Afghanistan and by governors who rebelled at any sign of the Sultan's weakness. So he had to fight the two frontiers. First from Mongol invasion, and second it was some nobles they also rebel against Sultan. Okay, and he have to manage them. Okay, first challenged by the Mongols, and second rebellions of the governors. Okay, so it was quite difficult for the Sultan. Its expansion occurred during the reign of Ghiyasuddin Balban, then Alauddin Khilji and Muhammad Tughlaq. So these three sultans, they expand their territory. First was Ghiyasuddin Balban, second was Alauddin Khilji, and third Muhammad Tughlaq. The first set of campaign along the internal frontier of the Sultanate aimed at consolidating the hinterlands of the garrison towns, so that they can control the vast territory of this empire. Thank you very much. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you.